Hello there, very good evening and welcome to your Primetime News Bulletin. I'm Shreyan Silva.
And I'm Krishi Panitharatna. We start off the news, the look at your headlines first.
Bus owners reveal that bus fares will be increased next week. Subject Minister says price increase will take place after the confidential report in this regard is received. 40 houses in Gampaha damaged due to strong winds. 6 individuals injured following 2 shooting incidents. And government to purchase potatoes from Nuwara at a certified price.
The Chair of Parliament noted today that 6 out of the 21 bills that were to be tabled before Parliament have not been submitted. MP R. Yogarajan, who presided over the parliamentary session, noted that it is tradition to present bills before Parliament in all 3 languages and ruled that the government had not presented 6 bills in accordance with parliamentary traditions. Meanwhile, parliamentarians brought it to the attention of the Chair today that they had not received the order paper of the day even an hour after Parliament was convened. The order paper outlines the agenda of the House on a respective day.
The order paper was not on our desks. However, I got a hold of one. This states that 21 bills have been tabled, but these bills are not on our desks. It says that these bills are to be tabled today, but the MPs have not received them. We know the reason for this. This has happened because a lot of bills have been hastily brought forward to be tabled. What is the government's plan? It has been more than 4 months since the budget was passed. For 4 months they have done nothing, and at the last minute, as March 31st approaches, they have realized that they need to pass these bills. This is the problem. But in truth, Deputy Committee Chairman, proposals that were not in the agenda have also been passed in this Parliament. You have been witness to this.
On to a story that made the headlines tonight. Now, strong winds blew across Gampaha this evening. News First U reporter Chamil Tilakawansa filed this report for News First.
When I was coming to the station, there was heavy rain accompanied by very strong winds. It was similar to a tornado. The people ran for shelter. Trees had fallen on the railway line, and therefore trains to Anuradhapura were temporarily halted.
The Disaster Management Centre says that 40 houses were damaged following the winds that swept across the Gampaha area. The Assistant Director of the Gampaha District Disaster Management Centre, Ajit Nishanta, says the winds affected areas coming under the purview of the Minuwangoda and Athanagalla Divisional Secretariats in the Gampaha district. The Railway Control Room says that train services along the main railway line, which was delayed as a result of trees falling on the railway track in Gampaha, have returned back to normal.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa says that the Jaya Jayawardena Centre should be transformed into an institution in which students can study about all Sri Lankan leaders. The President made this statement during a special discussion held at Temple Trees on the development of the Jayawardena Centre.
During the discussion, attention had been focused on transforming the Jayawardena Centre into an institution which facilitates individuals to conduct studies and research into the lives of Sri Lankan leaders. Meanwhile, speaking at the Food Protection Committee meeting held yesterday, President Mahinda Rajapaksa had reiterated the importance of lifting the nutrition levels of children from low-income families. The President had stated that a special plan should be formulated to lift the nutrition levels of students in the Nuwara and Mundragala districts.
Indian Prime Minister Dr. Manmohan Singh says that India is worried about the fate of Tamils in Sri Lanka and wants them to live with dignity and self-respect. Dr. Singh said in the Rajya Sabha as part of a larger debate that it has been the effort to plead with the government of Sri Lanka that there must be political reconciliation. He had pointed out that without national reconciliation, the situation cannot remain calm. According to India media reports, Dr. Singh has asked government to take the initiative to talk to the Tamil top leadership in Sri Lanka.
Meanwhile, India's Congress party says that the country will not interfere in Sri Lanka's domestic affairs. Congress spokesperson Abhishek Singhvi said, quote, "We do not want to interfere in domestic affairs of a country, especially our neighbour, a valuable ally like Sri Lanka." Unquote. The Congress spokesperson Abhishek Singhvi was reacting to the United States' plans to move a resolution against Sri Lanka at the current session of the United Nations Human Rights Council sessions in Geneva for its alleged war crimes. According to Indian media, the spokesperson made this statement at a briefing that was held in Bangalore yesterday. He also said that India doesn't need to favour the US resolution against Sri Lanka since it takes a stand not to interfere in domestic affairs of Sri Lanka.
In the meantime, the Indian Janata Party chief Subramaniam Swamy has asked the Obama administration to undertake bilateral consultations with Colombo to work out a consensus on the draft of the alleged human rights violations in Sri Lanka proposed to be tabled at the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva. According to Indian media reports, Swamy made this statement when he met with the Assistant Secretary of State of South and Central Asian Affairs, Robert Blake. Swamy, during the meeting with the State Department officials, cautioned the US that the resolution should not be seen as a victory of the divisive forces close to the LTTE, as that could result in the revival of the LTTE, which is not the interest of anyone. Swamy told US officials that there is no probability of setting up an internationally appointed intrusive probe which Sri Lanka will be compelled to comply because Russia and China will veto such a move. He had said that no resolution not acceptable to Sri Lanka can ever be enforced in the UN framework.
Time now for the newspaper cartoon of the day.
The U.S. State Department's Bureau of Democracy, Human Rights and Labor has announced that it has prepared to award $500,000 each for 2 projects in Sri Lanka. The U.S. State Department has requested for proposals which would increase support and safety for journalists and facilitate reconciliation.
The US State Department plans to fund 2 programs in Sri Lanka aimed at promoting democracy, human rights and the rule of law. The first project is aimed at strengthening the capacity of independent media institutions in the area of investigative journalism and increased safety and support for Sri Lankan journalists. The second project is aimed at facilitating cooperation across religious and ethnic lines to advance reconciliation. It also hopes to create opportunities for promoting reconciliation through cross-community communication and programming. In order to be eligible to the 2 $500,000 grants, organizations need to be U.S. non-profit organizations, meeting required provisions, or an internationally established comparable organization.
Nazir Sheikh, the brother of British citizen Khurram Sheikh, who was murdered in late 2011 in Tangor, returned to Sri Lanka to seek that justice is done to his late brother. Nazir is accompanied by a British Member of Parliament for Rockdale, Simon Danscook, to press for justice for his constituent Khurram Sheikh. News First Zulfiq Farzan caught up with Nazir Sheikh and the British MP this morning to learn about their future course of action.
We are pressing the case with the Sri Lankan government to try and get some speed behind this particular case and get it to trial. That's what the priority is, and that's why we're here. We've attempted to meet with senior government ministers in Sri Lanka. The most senior minister that we've been able to meet is the Deputy Minister for Economic Development and Tourism, Mohammed Hizbullah. We had a frank and honest conversation with him. I mean, the British government will continue to make representations, and I will press the British government to take action. That action is for the government to decide. But one possibility is that they boycott the Commonwealth Summit in November, and I think that would be the right and proper thing for a British government to do whilst this case is outstanding.
There's been progress from the beginning, but the progress has been very slow. And we can only judge the progress by actions and tangible elements. You know, a year's gone by and those assurances have no substance behind it. And I need that drive. I need to have an understanding of what is visible there. And when you get assurances that are about, yes, the case is being put forward, yes, there is some urgency, yes, there is some priority about it, but yet 15 months on, there is nothing that's evident that is actually true. And I hold on to those assurances, and I expect that the investigation and everything within that investigation will take its formal process. You know, this visit has been a bit of a disappointment, and not having those assurances from the senior ministers that we wanted to meet and just get an understanding of where the trial is up to or where the case is up to. And not having that, this is about regrouping and understanding what the next steps are to get that confidence back from the Sri Lankan government, which obviously I'll have to come back and ask them.
Khurram Sheikh was attacked and killed by a group of local men at a holiday resort in the town of Tangol on Christmas Day in 2011. Khurram Sheikh was a British aid worker attached to the Red Cross who was on holiday in Sri Lanka. On the 26th of December 2011, the then chairman of the Tangol Pradeshia Sabha, Sampath Chandrapushpa, surrendered to the police along with another individual over the murder of Khurram Sheikh and also assaulting another foreign national. Sampath Chandrapushpa was later remanded over the murder along with 8 other suspects.
The United National Party convened a media briefing in Colombo today. Parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyalla addressed the media.
Less than 1% of our exports go to China. The government says that they will be uncovering new markets. However, they haven't been able to do this. The government does not export. It is the private sector that exports. The private sector has contacts with the Western countries. For the first time in our history, the IMF rejects our loan application. The UNP constantly spoke in Parliament and requested the government to safeguard the GSP Plus concession. The government said that they were of no use. What has happened now? We are suffering a loss of 1.5 billion because there is no GSP Plus. The main business being carried out by the government is imposing taxes on the people. All the other businesses are closing down. The government is in such a bankrupt state that they are asking individuals to pay income tax due next year now.
Even I know. Welcome back to the news.
UNP parliamentarian Sajith Premadasa questioned the Minister of Education in Parliament today on the date on which volunteer teachers will be integrated into the Sri Lanka teacher service.
There are individuals who have received training in teacher colleges and through distance learning. They have sat for their examinations between the 20th and 24th of September 2012 and now they have been waiting for more than 6 months until their results are released. When will these people's results be released and when will they be integrated into the teacher service in accordance with their results? The National Education Institute will follow the accepted examination procedure and will release the results on the allotted date. There is no delay. The Ananda Samarkand College has been established in Vayawala under the name of the composer of the national anthem. If this government is indeed sensitive, then why is it taking steps to close down the primary section of Ananda Samarkand College? It is a school which falls under the provincial council. I will look into it and let you know if there is any restructuring taking place. Ananda Samarkand was born in the village of Niyammala, which is close to Padukka. The Ananda Samarkand Junior College was established here in memory of him and the bridge there was also constructed and named after him as a mark of respect.